Welcome to Trashy Divorces.
Week 70 million.
That is not even true. It's not even true. This week, it is the week of, it's not right, but it's okay.
It's the princess and the bad boy.
God, so
Times 2.
good. This week, I covered the trashy divorce of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Which is super sad. I mean, God.
It's super sad. The remarkable part is I made it through without any tears, even though as soon as we wrap this, I'm going to do my crying alone.
Aw.
It is tragedy. It is a tragic story.
Yeah. No, it's just sad. It is so sad.
And Whitney Houston is an angel. And this week you covered another princess and bad boy who,
Yeah.
A
A little
shower after
slightly
that.
different. Yeah. So I've got Sandra Bullock and her.
Who's charming AF?
We love her. I mean, we're not. Occasionally, people suggest that we may bring some bias to our podcast, and indeed we do. we are A-okay with that, and we love Sandra Bullock.
If
and
loving Whitney Houston and Sandra Bullock is wrong,
we don't want to be right.
I don't want to be right. No.
I do not love Jesse James.
No, not after that.
The cheating cheater who cheated and probably continues to cheat to this day.
Yikes. So yeah, that was this week. Good stories. Before we get started there, let's talk about what happened on Patreon this week.
Sure.
We
did. We made a start here.
We did.
Little thing.
We did for Tuesday, because there's a lot between...
We're trying to organize our workflow.
Yeah, for real. Between Trashy Tidbits, Trashy Tutors, Fun with Done, there's a whole new series that's going to launch October 2nd, Side Chicks. That's going to surprise you, because they're not all chicks. And we've got so many fun things in there. Oh, we've got bonus divorces. We have the book club. And you actually announced something really exciting this week about a new series on Patreon.
I'm going to be doing trashy politics.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know that all of these will feature a divorce, but just political scandals that get me excited, as they do, as they are wont to.
I think the ones so far that you've got planned all feature divorces.
Yeah.
Or side chicks.
Sure.
Or something equally as trashy. I can't even wait for that coming. I think that'll premiere September the 10th.
Okay.
That'll be the second Tuesday. I've got my bonus divorce coming up this Tuesday.
I need to get writing.
We both do.
Whiskey Rebellion, people.
Ha! Anyway, so a lot of stuff, fun stuff. Oh, Trashy Tidbits on Thursday. We did a kitchen sink thing. We updated the world on Frida the Backyard Cat, which was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that a little bit in my Whitney Houston story. And we did updates on,
Did
Miranda
we do updates
Lambert
on
hates beach balls. And Brad Pitt
Oh,
and
yeah,
Jen
yeah,
Aniston. And
Separately.
Oh, I had a Princess Meghan update. No, we went all around. We went to Kathy Griffin.
But yeah, it was a kitchen sink. It wrapped up several of our trashy divorces. Not wrapped up, but it had several trashy divorces threads that we like to pull on when we spot news.
Oh, hell. Trashy Tutors this week. I did Isabella of France.
You did.
Married to Edward II, so that predated our 100 Years' War and our War of the Roses thing. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff happening over on Patreon. Feel free to check it out. Patreon.com/trashy divorces.
Yes, the story featuring Hug Dispenser.
Hugh Dispenser, which Stacie took a little liberty with. Anyway, who heard all about Hug Dispenser this week? Who's in our magic mirror, Stacie?
Welcome and thank you for joining to Amy H., Susan W., Alyssa R., Rachel K., Miss EAL,
Melissa O., Amanda O., Jennifer O.C., and Pamela V. Thanks, y'all, so much for joining us over there. We've got some, it's not right, but it's okay, sort of stories to tell. Princess and the Bad Boy, you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
Or do you mean go, go, go?
Go, go, go.
Yes. Let's do this.
Alicia, you have a particularly heavy hitter of a subject this week.
It's a...
Is there anyone who does not love your subject this week?
I don't think so.
And
Her story is tragedy and triumph.
And she will always love us.
She will always love us. So I was already working on it when It turned out Frida Biscatlo, Yard Cat, is Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
And found her people, and I figured it was all very prophetic and universal.
That is true. Yeah, she picked up the name Frida based on an earlier episode. Turns out her real name is Whitney Houston. And we were already working on this episode.
Her people found her this week, and Frida has been reunited.
It's a heartwarming story.
And Frida is Whitney Houston, which is amazing. So I'd already started working on the story, and I was already kind of like, it's just sad. And, okay. So then Frida is Whitney Houston, and it's amazing. So we're going to tell the story today of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Sure.
I'm going to get so emotional.
There you go. I'm going to buckle in because I know there's a lot of tragedy in this story. Oof.
Princess and the Bad Boy? Or was it? So I've always said that Karen Carpenter has the voice of an angel, and there's a female voice to counter the male voice of John Denver. I would like to hear Karen Carpenter, but I was wrong. Whitney Houston is an angel, and I would like to hear her voice instead if the pearly gates and songs are a thing. Okay, she's the voice, man, and this story is filled with addiction and bisexuality and a hot, passionate marriage that was consumed by a really big secret that they shared together. There's a lot going on in this story, but I think it's very much an every woman story. We're going to talk about the drug use and the addiction, but I found all these repetitions that keep coming back as the story develops, and I think they are really relatable to what so many women go through in a crap marriage. This marriage lasted 14 years and most assuredly had ups and downs, but some common themes. I'll never leave them because I'm going to prove them wrong. It's a good one. Oh, with my religion, divorce isn't an option. Habit holds you there, whatever that habit might be.
Yep.
Fame and expectation. Whitney Houston had a great quote that said, "Success is not the problem, fame is." And it's, we've seen it over and over in so many episodes that it's not the success. It's the fame that does you in.
Right. Success is empowering. Fame can cripple you.
Probably the biggest one of all that, oh God, and this one gets to my heart, and then we really are going to start the story, is let me diminish myself and make myself smaller so you can feel bigger. And it is never a good look for anyone.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It happens.
Let's do this. Whitney Houston, born August 9th, 1963. She's a Leo gal.
Okay.
We know all about Leos here.
That does not surprise me.
She has 2 brothers. She has a mama and a daddy, with a little bit of stardust on them. Mom is a legitimate gospel star in her own right. She was a backup singer for Aretha Franklin, who is Whitney Houston's honorary godmother. She calls her Aunt Ree.
Wow.
Oh, she was also backup singer to Elvis Presley, as well as her niece, Dionne Warwick. So that's good. This family knows fame. Oh, yeah. Dad is a record executive as well.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea that. All right. Okay. So this was the family business.
This was the family business, but there's a difference between music is the family business and show business.
Okay.
Because they weren't like the Eclipse kind of fame. They were very successful people who did very well in music.
Right.
And Whitney takes it off to a whole new level. Mama Sissy also has 2 Grammys. Yeah.
Like the awards, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not 2 grandmothers. I know. We got all confused. 2 Grammys.
Wow. So that's quite the starting place
quite the legacy.
A talented child.
Very true. And she is a talented kid. Whitney appears at one of her mom's shows one night as just like a little, and Whitney sings and the stage gets rushed. Like, and her mom is like, God has given you this talent. And Whitney, like so many kids who discover they really like to sing, heads on over to church. And for her, it's gospel music. She's raised, like her mother's a gospel. It's like, of course, gospel music is what she wants to do, and it's her calling, and she loves it. And in an Oprah interview in 2009, Whitney talks about being introduced to gospel young. She heard it constantly. You know, I had a mother who was an entertainer. I'm a singer because of her. I just wanted to be a background singer and sing with my mom. No one in high school even knew I could sing. But she tells her mom. Her mom's like, all right, and teaches her how to do it, works with her in the studio. This is how you record. This is how you negotiate a contract. Mama Sissy also gives her, because Whitney knows all about the positives, Mama Sissy gives her all the negatives.
Right.
She taught her the things that she otherwise wouldn't have known. And Whitney Houston, like, starts out as a teen model. She's on the cover of 17, and she's super lovely. But Clive Davis gets a hold of her, and Whitney ends up having this career that her mom, like, has always wanted to have. So Mama Sissy is pushing her super hard and pushing her and pushing her.
Yeah, it's a fine line between supporting and
without sort of that back compensation of, I don't want to say love, that's probably not the right word, but it's a drive and a determination without really the safety net to fall. Whitney has to be perfect. And that crafted image Clive Davis takes, and hey, we can make you into a pop star. They end up doing 8 albums together, but Mama Sissy's always in the background. Her first album in 1985 comes out. It sells 30 million copies. It is the highest selling debut of a female artist ever. Self-titled, like, takes off. 1986, she's got 4 Grammy nominations. She performs Saving All My Love for You that year. She gets her first Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance. She's honored by Dionne Warwick, her cousin, and Julian Lennon, if you can imagine such a thing. When her second album comes out, she has 7 #1 consecutive singles, beating the record held by both Elvis and the Beatles.
Okay.
Whitney's on fire, and Mama is driving her career with Clive Davis right there, you know, on the pedal.
Can you imagine being the person who's like, wait, I just blew up the record set by Elvis Presley and the Beatles?
Yeah. I mean, she's on top of the world.
Yeah.
Or at least the world that has been constructed for her.
Right.
She is obedient. She's making Mama's dreams come true. But Whitney has a really good friend, her best friend and assistant, who they met when they worked at a community center in East Orange, New Jersey together. Her name is Robin Crawford, and they're probably lovers. It's quiet and a big secret, but Robin loves her and manages her and cares for her and really is that nurturing thing. She becomes her assistant, later her creative director. She travels the world with Whitney, and everything is going to be rolling along, but in the Houston family, it's not ever going to be okay to be gay.
Well, and in the 1980s, like, it's still a touchy thing today.
In a perfectly crafted image, Whitney,
in the 1980s, like,
you don't come out as bi. Like, no, who the hell knows what bi is in 1985 anyway? Like,
right. David Bowie fans.
Yeah, well, there you go. Who were probably, I don't know the crossover between Whitney and David Bowie, but
I don't know.
Okay. Even Sissy, her mom, talked about it after Whitney's death. She talks to Oprah in 2013. And Oprah asked her, like, would you be okay if Whitney was gay? And Sissy Houston's like, no, absolutely not. It would not have been approved or condoned.
Right.
So that's a lot to grapple with on Whitney, perfect princess, pop star, that leads this life sort of code switching. Like, there are a lot of R&B stations that won't play her as...
Why? Too gospel?
No.
Too pop?
Too white.
Oh, too white. Oh, sorry.
Like, she's not one of us. Like, she's so, like, and so it's a lot of expectation.
I guess I guess she was a massive, like, sort of crossover appeal artist.
Very much so. Very much so. And it's a lot to grapple with, right? Hey, I'm in love with my best friend who's a girl, but I'm also a pop star, and my image is everything all the time, and I can never step a toe. It's a lot.
Oh, man. And then complex. Okay.
So we're going to just leave Whitney grappling with all of that in the Trashy Divorces Train Depot.
Seems super comfortable.
And we're going to see what's happening on the other side with Bobby Brown.
Okay.
Born February 5th, 1969. A little younger. He's an Aquarius baby. He's an air sign, so fire and air. They're going to be a explosion, which they are. And at the tender age of 3, little Bobby sees James Brown perform, and it's on, and Bobby knows just what he's going to do. And where does he get himself to? Church.
Yeah.
To sing. Like every other kid he wants to sing. So he is just as driven about this I love music thing as Whitney is, but his road is going to be a little bit more difficult. Bobby lives in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston. I think the Orchard Park projects.
Okay.
And it's not the easiest life ever, but he has a group of friends and they can all kind of sing. And what do you do when you're a bunch of 11-year-olds? Let's start a band.
It is basically what you do.
That's what you do. And they end up performing one night in 1981 at the Hollywood Talent Night at the Strand. And they don't win, which would have earned them like $500 and a contract or something.
Wow.
But they get second place. But the producer of that show is a guy named Maurice Starr. Mm-hmm. And he likes him so much, they come to the studio the next day to record what will be their first album to come out in 1983, Candy Girl. Okay. So these 5 kids are like 13, 14 years old. Like,
did their parents
preteen boys?
Did their parents give them permission to go to the studio with the nice man? Like that's just,
I think so.
That's creepy.
I think
okay.
So. And they record this album, and it's a hit in Boston, and it's sort of a hit in the nation. And they're like, yeah, let's take 6 months and go on tour. Like, you should hear them talk. Like, they're
like 14?
A bunch of preteen boys.
That's crazy.
And the tour bus rolls on up into Roxbury. And, like, everybody's coming out of their house like, what the fuck kind of alien spaceship is this? But the kids go on tour, no parents. The only discipline they're getting is going to come from the people that they're paying. So we got 6 months to do whatever the hell we want to do.
A good system.
It's my prerogative. Okay. So they're living a dream life.
Yeah.
6 months later, the girls and the fans and the shows and the everything. Mm-hmm. 6 months later, they come back. The bus drops them off and everything's still exactly the same. They're like, was this a dream? Like, what just happened? But it's okay.
Yeah.
Because they know they're going to get a check for all of that hard work. And the check comes. And when it comes...
Life-changing.
Life-changing in that it is a check for $1.87.
Are you... Oh, my God.
They got fucked.
Yeah.
And they're kids. And their parents are not musically savvy like the Houstons are.
Right.
So they don't know how to write a contract or say, no, I need to own the royalties to my music. Or when we go on tour, we get the receipts, not you.
Yeah.
But they don't...
Yeah.
We got a record deal. It's like James Taylor, when he signed his first record deal, he was like, I just wanted a sandwich. I was hungry. Like, I would have done it. Like, I didn't know I was getting fucked. I just wanted a sandwich.
Right.
So...
Oh, that sucks. Did they ever extract, their earnings from this guy?
So there was a civil suit that was settled out of court.
Okay.
But they end up breaking that deal. They signed with MCA.
Okay.
But what they don't know is that they're undersigned with another label going through MCA. So they're exactly in the exact same situation.
2 money people above them.
So they don't make any money for their second album either.
Oh, my God.
So they each end up borrowing $500,000 apiece from MCA to get out of the bad underwriter contract. So their whole third album,
good Lord,
that is lighting the world on fire, is simply to pay off the debt that they're already in to MCA.
This is...
Not why you get in the music business,
This is
kids.
obscene. God. Okay. Thieves everywhere.
Thieves. It's tragic.
Thieves.
Like, I didn't know this much about Bobby Brown. Like, my assumption was, Bobby Brown's been in jail a lot. Drug problem. You're kind of an asshole. But
also, he's been taken advantage of at every stage of his career.
Every stage of his career.
Okay.
So now you have 5 16-year-olds.
Who are mad.
Underpaid
with a
lot of fame. But they're 16, so they have a lot of ego. Mm-hmm. And the front guy of the band is like, it's every lead singer ever getting the attention, and Bobby Brown's kind of in the background like, I'm not so into this. So he starts sort of making the show his own, by ripping off his shirt, taking over dances, like doing other things that are not in the pre-programmed set list that they've rehearsed every day for 4 years.
Right.
MCA kind of calls the band in and has a little consultation with them. And you may want to do something about Bobby. This is going to hurt your image because they're the popcorn candy teaser, just like Whitney. Like,
right.
They're crossing over in a big way as well. And Bobby's going to ruin you. You know, you can't keep this candy image. Okay.
I'm sure that a bunch of 16-year-old kids from Roxbury were like, oh, we're really into the candy thing.
No, they hated it.
I'm sure
like,
they did.
We're in fucking pink sweaters. This is not, because this is not them. They are girling and drinking and drugging and having the time of their lives, but working to protect this super squeaky clean.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The safe, nice young men image.
Right. December 1985, Bobby is voted out by the band. And Bobby Brown will tell you, like, yeah, I left to go pursue a solo career. Nah. New Edition voted him out. Okay. But that's cool, because Bobby is going to have a solo career, which he does. His first album's kind of crap, but he kind of lays low for a while, works pretty hard on his second one, with some help from, like, Babyface, L.A. Reid.
Gotcha.
His second album, called Don't Be Cruel, when it comes out, manages 5 top 10 hits.
Yikes. Okay.
Bobby's riding high.
Yep.
Okay.
Making it work.
Now, before we hook these two crazy kids up, let me just remind you right now that Bobby is already a father of 3.
Wow.
Okay.
At 20-ish? Okay.
His first kid was born in 1986. This is not his girlfriend's child. This was a side piece. He has had a girl, steady on and off girl, since 1980 when he was 11. She has their first child in 1989, the second one in 1992. That 11-year relationship ends when she finds out that Bobby is engaged to Whitney.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Okay, so how does it happen?
Why are people awful?
I don't know. I'm going to use Whitney again talking about this, that their meeting was not strategic. They were at the Soul Train Award show, and she was watching him, and he was fly, and he could move. And he flirted with her first and asked, and this is, hey, if I asked you to go out on a date with me, would you say yeah? It's an easy, smooth way, men. Just, hey, if I were, you're gaining consent. You're asking permission to ask. It's a very good way to ask someone out.
I don't know. Okay, but go ahead.
It worked.
Sure. Okay.
At least on Whitney.
Sure.
They date 3 years before they get married. And she...
And he's still in this, what would be an 11-year-long relationship over here while this is all going on as well?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool.
It's cool. They find this, like, passion and crazy love, and they look at each other and just sweat. But it's so... I'm totally paraphrasing her. It's sweet tenderness, and, like... We both do the thing when the entertainer comes out, but at home, he's in control. He's the father. Like, she used to be so in control of her life, and there he comes along, and when he says something, I listen. And it's so refreshing for someone to have control over me. I could release it to someone else and just have fun, and he taught me to dance, and... Okay. And her BFF, Robin... is physically getting into altercations with Bobby Brown and is one day formally exiled from her circle.
Uh-oh.
Okay. But Bobby and Whitney are on, and everybody's talking about the princess and the bad boy. They get married in 1992. It's a big to-do, but Bobby recounts in his memoir that is the first time he sees Whitney doing cocaine. He says he does not partake, but he... just like, yeah, I was shocked. Like, I don't know if you date someone for 3 years and have that hot, crazy thing. That doesn't ring, like, you wouldn't know about someone with a, even for fun, drug habit on the day of your wedding if you've dated 3 years. That rings a little false.
It does indeed.
Okay, so even in the late 80s, Robin has gone to Mama Sissy to tell Sissy about Whitney's drug problem.
Oh, then there's absolutely no way that was...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, if she'd been a pretty consistent user...
So part of this is her in retrospect in 2009. I'm taking some of these dates from her, some of these from research and website will have the references. Anyway, they get married in 92. She's making the bodyguard and suffers a miscarriage. She still has to work the next day. And she says, yes, the drug use is happening here, but it's controlled. It's not an everyday thing. I do it to relax. I've kind of got a handle on it. But both of them are doing it. But the problem, well, an additional problem to add on, is that Bobby is a drinker. Whitney is not a drinker. But Bobby is, and apparently a little bit of a mean drunk. In 1993, they do have a baby, Bobby Christina. And after The Bodyguard comes out, 93 to 95 are just kind of filled with a whirlwind. They have a baby in one hand. She has the man she loves. And at this time, Bobby Brown puts everything aside and goes with her on this ride of stardom and fame. And Whitney says somewhere inside something happened. A woman shouldn't have that much control if the man doesn't have his own thing. He needs to have his own. Because now Bobby's sucked in Whitney's life and it becomes...
So he's like her side piece, basically?
Yes. Well, and people call him Mr. Houston.
Right.
Like his own agency.
Right.
This is a 16-year-old kid who was stripping at New Edition shows.
Yeah. But I mean, so was his career kind of just on hold at this time?
His career's on hold as he's supporting her. And they're also having wild drug-fueled up relationship and share this big secret that... keeps them super connected.
And their new parents. I mean, what could go wrong?
And their new parents. So he's sort of in the shadow. He's supporting her, loving her. She says we fought and loved hard. But here's where, because she feels like he has diminished himself so much, he doesn't have his own. Here's where she begins to play down all the time to compensate. She's trying to please him. She's trying not to be so big. And she's dimming her own light constantly to... It's not the way to do it. It's not a good look for anyone.
No, and I feel like this is probably prompted by not her noticing that he's become smaller, so she's going to become even smaller. He's probably mad. He's probably frustrated.
Oh, he's going to get real mad. Hang tight.
Yeah.
Okay, so by 1996, while filming The Preacher's Wife, she is using every day. I'm assuming he is as well. So the marriage is 4 years old, and they are really going to ride this addiction thing out.
Yeah.
They're both doing the career thing, but they really like hanging out at home, locking themselves in their room, and smoking joints laced with cocaine or cocaine rock, which is, when it's fun, I suppose a lot of fun until it's not fun anymore. So Mama Sissy, numerous times, tries to step in and assist, but Whitney, super stubborn. Y'all said it wasn't going to work, and I'm going to prove you wrong. I can make myself so small to make him happy. We're going to do this. By the late 90s, she's missing all kinds of dates and concerts. At a performance in 2001, it was like Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary. She is so real. Like, you can see her, like, it is the talk of the industry. And even Michael Jackson comes to her like, hey, I'm worried about you.
Yikes.
Now, in retrospect, in 2009, she talks about being so worried for him at that show. Bobby, meanwhile, during this time as well, is being arrested over and over for battery and possession and some DUIs.
Battery of her?
Not battery of, well, maybe once, but the charges were never filed and dropped.
Okay. But there are indications there was violence in the relationship.
She says no violence.
Okay.
The one time he tried to slap her, she picked up something and hit him over the head 3 times.
Okay, that's violence in the relationship.
Her family had already kind of put him on warning as well. Like, don't raise a hand to her. But Whitney grew up with 2 brothers. So she talks like it was emotionally abusive to the extreme.
Sure.
But from what I understand, from what she communicates, not.
So there may have been an incident here or there, but it wasn't like he wasn't beating her
physical trauma.
She wasn't hitting him with ashtrays routinely either. Okay.
I think the emotional abuse in here is going to be severe. So he's arrested over and over and over. He's also not paying child support. She is always there in court waiting for him. She's waiting for him when he gets out of jail. Like, she is doing I am the supportive wife and divorce is not an option, and whatever I need to do to make this work is whatever I'm going to do. So they're addicted to drugs and each other. And it's that little secret that they share, but it's not a secret because everyone's talking about it. And Mama Sissy is trying to get her help, and it's use, no like formal rehab programs at this point, apparently, but let's take her away from the situation. Let's get her clean. Oh, she's doing better. Let's relapse. And every time it cycles, it gets worse. And her family is worried and terrified, and it's the cycle over and over. So then we get to the infamous 2002 interview with Diane Sawyer, which is tragic. The best part is the little sleeping Yorkshire Terrier next to her. It was a bad day. And she was using.
And they're 10 years into their marriage now?
Yeah, 10 years in. And this interview gave us such memorable lines as crack is whack. This is actually about Whitney defending that she never did crack. It's cheap and nasty. Crack is whack. You don't do crack. It's not okay. Diane also brings up that it's been reported that they have a $730,000 drug bill. And Whitney says, Lord, show me the receipts. Also in this year, Bobby, who was diagnosed with ADD as a kid, is also diagnosed now as bipolar. So drugs probably are not going to help any of the discovery and or treatment of that condition.
I wouldn't think. And I bet, I don't know, cocaine plays really well with whatever medication might be prescribed to manage the symptoms of that. Like,
again, she says he is not violent, but emotional abuse is his thing, and he's kind of the master. So after this, it's bad. The 2002 album is a flop. It's the worst performing one ever for her.
Oh.
She's not going to release another album for 7 years.
Wow.
After the disaster of 2002, they kind of unplug and go further into the pot cocaine hole. And this is coming again from her 2009 interview with Oprah. It's fascinating because she, in this interview in 2009, is divorced and clean and has a pretty clear view of the problems. Whitney says, he was my drug. I didn't do anything without him. We were getting high together and he was my high. Like, this was our thing. Oh, Whitney never really goes to formal rehab, but let me remind you about the time because she thinks she can heal her addiction through spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And takes off on a tour of Africa and Jerusalem. Meets the...
I kind of remember this.
Oh, God. It's all bad. Okay.
So that did not work, is what you're saying.
It didn't work. So in 2005, Bobby Brown gets offered this reality TV show called Being Bobby Brown.
No.
And it only runs for one season. And Whitney said she said yes just because she's a dutiful wife and wants to support him and didn't really know that cameras were going to
be everywhere
all the time, and it really records a record of it all falling apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I saw some of that back in the day.
Critics called it a train wreck. Like, it's bad. It's and
because like she was strung out.
She's strung out.
Like that's what I remember is
she's strung out and he's strung out, and again, it's the cycle. So all through this period,
these are two people who just made each other sicker. Like
entirely.
Yeah.
So maybe one of them gets help and cleans. This is very like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. One of them's on the wagon, one of them's not, and the other one's mad that we're on the wagon or we're not on the. Like, they can never really get that piece together, but they're both addicted. Now, I mentioned Bobby is kind of a mean drunk, but let me also go ahead and add into his alcohol, marijuana, cocaine thing that he started using heroin too.
Oh, Jesus.
So she is really diminished herself by this point, and she is praying spiritually. She's praying to God to give me the strength. Like, I know this is bad. Mama Sissy ends up coming over to take her away with sheriff intervention.
Wow.
At the end of this. But Whitney knows it's bad. And Bobby one night ends up cutting her head off of a portrait of her.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad that's where cutting went, because
slashes a portrait of her.
Jeez.
And she's like, yeah, there's something not right about this. And Bobby, in his, I don't even know what kind of speedball you call that particular mix, heads on down to the Ace Hardware and picks up a lot of spray paint and starts spray painting evil eyes in the bathroom, on their mirrors, on the closet doors, on the rugs, on the walls. So there's thousands of evil eye talismans. I'm looking at you.
Whitney, run.
I'm always watching you.
Yeah. I mean, I wish all the best for people battling addiction, but God, like, run.
So Whitney's like, wait, cut my head off portrait. I have evil eye talismans all over my home. Oh, also, you're cheating on me, on the regular.
Fantastic.
Because I'm looking at your credit card bills, and you're bringing all this filth into my home. And again, she's praying for God to give her that strength one day just for her to go. She does.
Good. Okay. Whew.
One day she says she's going out for milk and sugar, and she never comes back again.
What? See,
I've done that. I pulled that move.
I like that story.
In a different way, but
I know how the story ends, so I'm super sad about it, but yay. Good for her.
Yeah. So Whitney, gets herself in a program with Bobby Christina.
Good.
She's able to dry out a little. She heads out to California.
Oh, can I just say, good for her, because obviously leaving the child with the dad is a really bad idea at this point.
Bobby stayed with her brother and sister-in-law for a little bit of time, but there was a program that she was able to attend.
Right, I bet there was a lot
child.
of family counseling involved in it too that was probably really helpful.
So they moved to California, and she's waking Bobby up to get to school, and she's there when she comes home off the bus. All regular but Whitney's sleeping through the day. She doesn't get out of her pajamas for 6 months. Now, here's the super additional tough part, is that Bobby Christina is now a teenager. It's 2006, and she's 13 and loves her dad. Why are you being so mean to him, Mom? And this goes on for a while, but Bobby eventually kind of starts to see that both of her parents are pretty messed up, but one of them is there for her and keeps her promises, and one does not.
Right. And I'm sure Dad was being plenty manipulative through phone calls and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to follow up on Bobby Christina, I think, for Trashy Tidbits on Thursday this week.
Okay.
Because
that's a really sad story, too,
it's
right?
It's a sad story, and there's not enough to...
Remember when we were going to make just a little comedy podcast about celebrity divorces?
This celebrity divorce is final in April of 2007. And this time, rehab maybe does stick. After a few pretty bad years, she pulls herself back together. Whitney releases an album in 2009 after a 7-year absence. And it looks like things are going really well.
Yeah.
We're really rooting for her. But addiction, really, it's a disease. And 2012, she has relapsed, is found dead at the age of 48 on February 11th. The coroner's office reported that her death was caused by drowning and the effects of essentially heart disease and cocaine use.
Oh, that's a terrible mix too, yeah.
Yeah. The amount of cocaine found in her system indicated she did use shortly before she died. Also in her system were Benadryl, Xanax, and Flexeril. Oh, pot too. So it was an accidental death. There was no foul play, just a...
That is
It's terrible.
Bonzo combination. Benadryl, Xanax, and those are all... Flexeril is a muscle relaxer, and cocaine?
And pot.
Well, I mean, that's kind of background level, but what?
Yeah.
What was she going for, I wonder?
Zone out. I mean, what do you go to hide? Addiction is trauma.
It's I feel like if you pool all those substances together, you might end up just sober. You won't. Don't do that.
Don't do that. It's just so sad.
It's terrible.
Like addiction claims another angel. And it's the saddest because she had every advantage in the world and money and power. And you can get help and you can't get clean. Like, what about everybody else? Like, she has a family that stands beside her and she can't get clean. What about the people who do it with no support? Like, addiction is shit.
Do you think she was partly trapped in the marriage because of her sexuality?
Yes, I do.
What happened with, did Robin ever, like, because she fired Robin at one point, right?
She did.
Did Robin ever return to her circle?
No.
No,
Robin did get married in 2012. She's got 2 kids, I believe, and is very happy. She did write a book after Whitney's death. But to go back to answer your first question, like, you look at what demons Whitney was grappling with. And I think there is something seated in her bisexuality. Bobby Brown does admit in his memoir that she was, and says, I really feel that if Robin was accepted into Whitney's life, Whitney would still be alive today. She didn't have any close friends with her anymore. Closets are bad.
They're
and
bad.
No one should have to live in one. Be bi, be gay, be pan, be whatever you want to be.
Like, how sad is it that the guy who enabled her addiction for so many years and participated in it, like, is the one left to remark on what would have saved her life? Like, ugh, that's tough. That is tough. But hey, you told a genuinely tragic story without tears.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, uh-oh.
So, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Be who you're going to be. And I think it's shitty that Whitney couldn't really do that. And in her life, it was all image and expectation. And I'm sad about the whole story.
Yeah.
She leaves a legacy of that voice, 2 Emmys, 6 Grammys, 30 Billboard Music Awards, 22 American Music Awards, acclaimed and celebrated Whitney Houston halos for all time.
Yeah.
Bobby Brown has proceeded to go through the mill. More arrests, more like it. I think by now he's cleaned himself up. He is remarried to his manager, a lady named Alicia Etheridge. They have 3 kids. Found an interview with him, I don't know, like a year or 2 ago. It seems like he gets that he has another shot in his life, and he sounds pretty grateful about it. But as trash cans go, there's...
Yeah, no, that's rough.
All of it was bad. Addiction is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should say something more profound than that. There's the trashy divorce of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Went out for milk and sugar.
Didn't come home.
Probably bought herself several years of life, though. You know?
I think so. But I mean, she, heavy drug user for 25 years? Or whatever, 25 years of drug use? That's...
Yeah.
Triumph and tragedy. There's the sad tale of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Well, thanks. Our little comedy podcast took a little turn, but that's okay. Sometimes they will.
The best part, I really think, is that Frida Biscatler, the yard cat, is named Whitney Houston.
That, seriously...
That's the part I'm going to hold on to in my heart.
When that very nice woman saw the cat and her eyes lit up. She was... And, like... I have to call my husband, boyfriend, not sure. But, the person who initially got a kitten and named it Whitney Houston.
Who's been living in our yard.
For 6 months.
I love it. We're so happy she found her people.
That's seriously the brightest side, I guess, of the Whitney Houston story.
We hope Whitney Houston, the human Whitney Houston, has found some peace as well. Okay, let's take a little break.
Yeah.
Come back with another princess and a bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Wendy, what you listening to?
Oh, hey, Beth. I've just become obsessed with true crime. But I am wondering, you being the OG of true crime and everything, if there are any true crime stories out there about people of color or minorities.
There are. I'm obsessed with true crime, too, and it's true. Not all serial killers are white dudes.
Get out of here. Really?
That's right. Not all serial killers are white. Or, get this, even dudes.
Stop.
And you know what? Fruitloops Serial Killers of Color is a podcast all about them.
That's right. We take deep dives into the lives and crimes of people of color and their victims that the news leaves out because, well, the news is racist. Allegedly.
Ever heard of Swift Runner? The dating game killer? The Taco Bell strangler? Or La Matavejitas?
Well, if you want to hear about them and other true crime stories about people of color, women, LGBTQ, and any other minorities, then listen and subscribe to Fruitloops Serial Killers of Color wherever you get your podcasts.
And we are Wendy and Beth. She's Wendy. I'm Beth. We're not journalists, investigators, or psychologists. Just a couple of gals interested in true crime.
Mm-hmm. New episodes drop every Thursday, so look alive, guys. It's crazy out there.
Hear ye, hear ye. At this time, I will be calling to order the official Sandra Bullock fan club of Trashy Divorces.
Present.
Yeah, me too.
I'm here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Call this meeting to order.
Okay, so...
Order.
So as you may recall, Sandra Bullock had a trashy divorce from a guy who, it turns out, was pretty much a real trash bag. So let's get into that. Sandra Annette Bullock was born July 26, 1964. She is a Leo, but she's cuspy with Cancer, so that's fire and water, so she is herself steamy, which I think we would all agree with.
That's entirely true.
Okay, she had a really cool childhood. Her dad was Army. He married a German woman, so she grew up mostly in Germany and Austria. Yeah, so, and her mom was an opera singer, so she had this...
No way.
Yeah, so Sandra had this amazing, like, Army brat childhood in Nuremberg, Germany, and Vienna, and she would just travel around with her mom a lot when her mom would be touring with the opera. So, like, as she was a kid, she's in ballet, and she's like developing skills that are appropriate for, performance work, and she gets to actually be part of opera companies at a very young age. It's just a crazy weird...
I had no idea.
I didn't either. I was so excited. As an Army brat myself, although I never lived in Germany, I was like, yes, I know how this life felt. Okay, so first 12 years of her life in Nuremberg, Vienna, Salzburg, she speaks fluent German.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she grew up speaking German, and her mom was German and German.
Makes sense.
She's a dual citizen today. She has passports for both. Mm-hmm. So she's that, which also I think technically makes her an EU citizen, which is super convenient.
No lie.
No lie. Okay, so... in time for her to start attending high school, the Army moves the family back to Arlington, Virginia, which is where she had been born. And her dad, I guess, retires from the Army and becomes a civilian contractor to the Pentagon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what her mom did. I don't know if she continued as an opera singer. Maybe she taught vocal.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I was I noticed that part that did not appear in the Wikipedia entry. Like, what dad did is explained. Hopefully mom was very happy. She goes to Washington Lee High School. In Arlington, she's a cheerleader and a theater nerd, as one would hope for. She went to college at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina.
ECU.
It's a very small town, and upon graduation, she moved to Manhattan to become an actress.
It's a big leap.
Big leap. And, hey, it worked out for her.
I love it when it works out.
So in Manhattan, she was lucky enough to study with Sanford Meisner. She took a lot of bit parts in small roles, supported herself as a waitress and a bartender. And as these things go, when the best case scenario comes into play, off-Broadway roles brought her to television, brought her to film, brought her to Keanu Reeves, and her 1994 breakout role in Speed. Pop quiz hot shot. Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't seen it since then, so I wonder if it holds up.
We could put that on our list.
We'll put it on our list. There are a lot. Oh my gosh. Sandra Bullock has been in everything good.
But come on, she's just charming. I don't think Sandra Bullock's made ever a bad movie because she's charming.
She made Speed 2 in exchange for... No one else did either, but in exchange for backing for her next project, basically. Okay. And she said later that she regrets having made that deal because the Speed 2 was apparently terrible. Never saw it either. Okay, so from Speed, her career exploded and led to some of the most memorable film roles of our generation, largely because it's almost impossible to have had a television connected to a cable provider and not routinely come across charming as fuck Sandra Bullock movies you have to stop on because...
It's Sandra
Bullock. It's impossible not to
You watch them all. Miss
Sandra Bullock.
Congeniality.
Oh my God.
Practical Magic.
Every day. All day.
All the time.
There was While You Were Sleeping,
Ah,
which landed her first Golden Globe nomination.
she's so cute.
She had a turn in a big-budget John Grisham movie with Samuel L. Jackson and Matthew McConaughey in A Time to Kill.
Oh, that was a good one. I'd forgotten about that.
She was in Hope Floats with Harry Connick Jr.
Hope Floats is an underrated little movie that was trashy divorce related.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
charming.
yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. And then, of course, one of the greatest films ever made, 1998's Practical Magic,
It's so good.
which I just realized was directed by Griffin Dunn, son of
Dominic.
your
It's all a spiderweb.
Patronus.
My fairy godfather.
I just want to say names because I love all of these women. This brought together a remarkable cast with Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman, Stockard Channing, and Diane Wiest. Amazing. It is such a
Nothing wrong with that movie.
She was just getting started, though.
She sure was.
She was just getting started. In the 2000s, there were more permanent film favorites with Miss Congeniality and its sequel.
Aw.
She had dramatic turns in films like Crash and the thriller Murder by Numbers. She did more rom-coms like Kate and Leopold and 2 Weeks' Notice with Hugh Grant. She was a huge star. She was America's sweetheart. And honestly, like, she filmed 28 Days in Asheville, North Carolina, I think it was not long before I moved up there for a couple years. And so
that
I
was a
knew,
good movie too.
I don't think I ever saw it, but
she's
I
so
knew,
good.
I knew people who had waited on her in restaurants or like bookstores or whatever, like people who had just interacted with her in the community who said like, she's perfectly normal, totally nice. Like she's exactly what you think she is, apparently.
I love that.
Yes. So on that note, we're going to park dear, perfectly normal Sandra Bullock.
Charming AF.
Charming AF. Sandra Bullock at the Trashy Divorces Depot. And we're going to move on over to the bad boy who swept her off her feet while apparently also sweeping a lot of other women off their feet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's gross.
No.
Okay, let's meet Jesse Gregory James. Born April 19, 1969. He is an Aries Taurus cusp.
Ugh.
So basically, we have two fire signs, right?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't like him already, so I'm predisposed to make the ugh.
Yeah.
sound.
So, okay. Well, he was born in Long Beach, California, and it seems like his family life was pretty shitty. His parents divorced, I think, when he was 5. He was really young. And he was raised by his dad, who was an antiques dealer and also physically and emotionally abusive to him.
Oh, no.
Super good. There were stepmothers as well, who I guess were extremely cruel. All of this is as he tells it, and I, having watched some interviews, like, I don't consider him a terribly reliable narrator.
Okay.
I think he's a massive bullshit artist, but I don't know. Like, clearly his childhood was not awesome. Like, let's start there. So, mean dad, mean stepmoms, but next door to his dad's antique shop was a Harley Davidson parts shop. And so this little kid, who I think is feeling very powerless in the world and just, awful, is constantly seeing these gigantic, loud machines being driven by these extremely masculine men.
Power. Like, this is,
And,
that's got an imprint.
Yep, and it gets in his head, and it's, so that's his thing. He was a tinkerer as a kid. I'll give him a lot of credit on the score. He is like an amazing self-taught engineer.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll get into that. So as a kid, he'll take stuff apart, put it back together. It's his thing.
You should always let kids take stuff apart and put it back together. Or try. It's never going to go back together. Rarely.
Sometimes it will. Apparently that's how you can tell, like, engineers and physicists from the rest of us.
Let's take it apart. Can we put it back
if
together?
there are parts left over, it's the rest of us. And if there are not, then
Your
they're
kid isn't destined for NASA.
budding physicists and engineers. Okay. So unfortunately, Jesse James, also as a child and teenager and youth, was also a petty criminal. He was a car thief.
Oh.
He was an occasional armed robber by his telling of it.
Put those engineering skills to good use, did ya?
Yeah. He was extremely violent, again, in his telling of it. And that's all from his... He wrote a memoir.
He self-reports on his
self-reports
violence?
on his...
Nice.
Yeah, it's called American Outlaw.
Yikes.
And maybe it's true. Unreliable narrator, but I don't know. So he found football so he could channel his aggression into a way. And I don't know, he spent 90 days in jail for car theft at one point. He says he was like, all of the D1 schools wanted him to come play football for them because he was so good at it. But when the scouts came to actually like talk to the kids at his high school, he was in jail. So he ended up at community college.
Bummer.
Might be true. I have a lot of questions about this guy. So he starts at Riverside Community College playing football, but he dropped out after 2 years with injuries, started doing security for bands like Slayer and Soundgarden, and like hardcore bands, Danzig.
Okay.
During this period, he married for the first time to a woman named Carla. They had 2 children.
Nice.
In 93, he was injured when he fell off the stage at a concert.
Oh, no. And
so, like you do, he went and became an apprentice to a motorcycle customizer.
Oh, sure.
I don't know how A got to be, but A got to be.
I don't know. If you're recuperating, you think about the things that make you happy. I mean, I've been in a hospital bed 6 months. You think about the things that, like, okay, what do I want to do? He wanted to go play with fucking motorcycles.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Okay. So he opens West Coast Choppers, which is going to be his brand going forward, in his mother's garage. And then he moved it into a tiny place in Long Beach. And he says he had been frustrated by the lack of style and the lack
panache.
Of risk-taking. Yeah, the lack of panache in the industry, in the motorcycle customizing industry. I guess it's a thing. I don't know. He wanted to get really wild with builds. And in 2001, the Discovery Channel chose his shop as the focus for its multi-part documentary, Motorcycle Mania.
We are not your typical motorcycle customers. We can barely walk without injuring ourselves.
It's true.
I don't think we're going to get ourselves on a bike anytime soon.
Yeah. So obviously, this is a great thing for West Coast Choppers. It also heralded the end of his marriage to Carla, whom he divorced in 2002, and immediately married his second wife, adult film actress and future felon, Janine Lindemulder.
Oh.
I hope I spelled that right. That marriage lasted 2 years and produced a daughter named Sunny.
Great.
Okay, these were solid years for Jesse's professional life, though. From 2002 to 2006, he hosted the Discovery reality TV series Monster Garage.
Seriously? I'm so out of touch. Okay.
Yeah, I missed this too, but I'm not sure how, because it would have been right up my alley. I was probably too busy watching Mythbusters. Basically, Jesse and his team have 5 days to take a vehicle, like whatever, like just a car or a whatever, and turn it into something weird. So they take a school bus and turn it into a pontoon boat.
Great.
They cut up a police cruiser and outfitted it so it could make its own donuts.
Oh, these are ingenious ideas.
And no joke, he made a flying car that apparently actually flew.
Okay.
Put wings on it. Like, the Popular Mechanics wrote it
Wings.
up. Yeah, like it's not uncool what is happening here, right? He's just not a good dude. Like,
dirtbag to girls?
Dirtbag to dudes too. Like, there's a lot of dominance. There's
Perfect.
a lot of, yeah. We would append the word toxic to his form of masculinity, I believe. Okay, so, and if this project, if the car they were renoing into whatever failed, if it couldn't do whatever it was supposed to do, didn't make the donuts, couldn't fly, whatever, they would drive it out to the desert and Jesse would blow it up.
Perfect.
It's kind of a no-lose situation for the viewer, I think. So the show was a pretty big hit. Really put Jesse on the map, made him a lot of money. And one notable fan of Jesse James and Monster Garage was a 10-year-old kid who happened to be Sandra Bullock's godson.
Oh.
So as a present,
starts.
as a present to the kid, she arranges a tour of the Monster Garage set. And in December 2003, we retrieve Sandy Bullock, from the Trashy Divorces Depot.
So she's just doing something nice for her nephew?
Basically, yeah. Where she has become smitten with a dude who seems pretty bad at impulse control, but is also hyper-masculine, builds loud machines, and often talks about the satisfaction he gets from beating people up, running them off the road, ripping off his customers, and other totally chill things. So,
I have so many questions.
America's sweetheart, meet America's meathead.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Super yikes.
you know, opposites attract, I guess.
Oh.
They kept things pretty low-key and low-profile. They dated for about a year. I guess sometimes photographers spotted them vacationing in Hawaii and watching drag races in Las Vegas. But it doesn't seem like it was something they played up a ton in the press. I read a 60 Minutes profile on Jesse by Vicky Mabry from February 2005. And there is a single sentence toward the end that just says, he's dating Sandra Bullock. He doesn't answer questions about her. Like, she is not a topic. It's just a little biographical
low-key.
thing.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. They got married like 4 months later. So in July 2005, the wedding was pulled off without excessive fanfare or paparazzi even. They held the ceremony at the Folded Hills Ranch in Solvang, California, and they shuttled in 300 guests who were only told that there was going to be a wedding at 8 p.m.
They pulled a Madonna and Sean Penn. Nice.
Yeah, the guests were told to come over for a hoedown, and they had a bluegrass band. I think it was called the Cousin Lovers.
Perfect. Wow.
Yeah. So Sandy walked down the aisle to a recording of her mother passed away in 2000, so a recording of her late mother performing an aria called Casta Diva.
Aww.
Her sister made the wedding cake. Jesse showed up to the party in a red monster truck. I mean, in March...
It was the day I've always dreamed of.
So in March, just a few months earlier, she had told Vogue magazine, I was a bolter. I would get so scared because my idea of marriage was not a very pleasant one, and now I look at it in a different way. I threw away what society's version of it was, and I went, why does it have to be anyone else's version but mine?
And that makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I think that actually it's very important that you do that before you get married anyway, like in any case. It just seems like this was not the right fella to throw that away for. Okay, anyway. So let's talk about what's kind of going on in their lives around this time, because there's just a mismatch here. In 2006, Monster Garage goes off the air. I gather that Jesse frequently butted heads with the execs at Discovery, and in particular, in 2006, he insisted on going. In 2006, he insisted on going to Baghdad to trick out a Humvee that had been damaged in battle.
Nope.
And Discovery did not want him to go.
Can't imagine why. Liability costs on that one.
Sandra Bullock did not want him to go.
Nope, can't imagine.
He went. Apparently he paid his own way, but they did air a thing called Iraq Confidential with Jesse James or whatever.
Oh, God. Okay.
But I mean, think about it though. I think it was good for the troops that he hung out with and like built a thing with. 2006 was a very bad time in the Iraq War. And like, it must have been very, very nice for guys whose job is like maintenance of vehicles to suddenly like have a creative project with a cool dude who just flew into a war zone for no reason. Okay. Apparently they lost all of his gear in Kuwait too. And so he had a bit of a delay while they found it. Jesse seems to view himself as some kind of marketing genius. So like, you know, the show goes off the air, but I guess he moves on and he keeps making custom bikes. But apparently where he's really making his money is on West Coast Choppers branded merchandise with like the Iron Cross. Like his logo is very Third Reich, like, but also kind of biker chic, I guess. There's a lot of overlap there for, I think, not good reasons, but in any case. He acknowledged at some point that the shop lost money on the bike builds. Like all of these custom choppers that they're making that retail for $150,000, he's still managing to lose money.
How?
That's a great question.
Curious about this.
Yeah. So it's the cash flow from all of his like t-shirts and like they just put the logo on everything. So
it's the merch store
it's
next
the
to the
merch store.
motorcycle shop. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He also like in 2006, 2007, he opened a burger joint down the street from the shop.
Sure. Like you do.
And like he made the point in one interview that he's kind of the only television personality in America where you can just like call his workplace or show up at his job. So there would be crowds of people at his shop because he's semi-famous. So I guess he opened a burger stand to feed them.
Well, you got to feed the people lunch at your hamburger shop, diner, merch store. Come on.
Buy a t-shirt, buy a burger. Would you like fries?
And a motorcycle
Whatever.
with that.
Yeah, so both of the, like, his West Coast Choppers and the burger joint have both closed since. He did a season of Celebrity Apprentice in 2009. He's apparently a big fan of Donald Trump.
Perfect.
Sandy, meanwhile, also had a few kind of weird years at work. 2006, she did The Lake House, which made money, but there was like a time travel element that sort of confused everyone. And then Premonition in 2007 also it was presented in an out of sequence way. I saw it. It was confusing. It was not her best work. Let's just say that. Made a lot of money. But her focus at the time really was, I think, kind of integrating herself into this new family, because she was now the stepmom to 3 kids, to like Jesse's 3 kids. In 2007, she said, "Here's the thing. I have children. I married into children. I love those children. My concern and my love for those kids as a co-parent is no less than if I had had that child biologically. I don't see the difference between that and having your own child biologically. My priorities are love, my want, my wishes for them, my discipline, my rules, my fun is because of my children. I have them. I feel for the children I have in my life, and I would not change that."
Aw.
So, she's got stuff going on. So also in 2009, they got into a custody fight with Jesse's second ex-wife, who went to federal prison for tax evasion.
Oh, no.
So they end up with Jesse gets custody of, or Jesse and Sandy
so it's
get
way more than you maybe reckon with going into.
Yeah, I mean, they're well resourced, and I think it's just she supported him, and they ended up with custody. 2009 was a humongous year for Sandra Bullock, though. She co-starred with Ryan Reynolds in The Proposal, which grossed $317 million worldwide.
Whoa.
Earned her a 3rd Golden Globe nomination. And that was really just the beginning of her year, because she also starred in The Blind Side that year.
That was a great movie.
Everyone saw it.
Right?
So it's a true story. It was a little too white saviory for me, but, it grossed $309 million, won her a Golden Globe, a Screen Actors Guild Award, a Critics' Choice Movie Award, and, of course, an Academy Award for Best Actress.
Yep.
The day of the ceremony, she was interviewed by Barbara Walters and said, "I hope that the same people that are in my house today will be there 10 years from now." Poor Sandy.
It's not going to happen, is it?
9 days later.
Oh.
9 days later. 9 days after winning her first Academy Award, In Touch magazine runs a story called The Ultimate Betrayal. This is an interview with a woman named Michelle McGee, who is a tattooed model and webcam girl who claims to have had an 11-month-long affair with Jesse.
During the marriage?
While she was filming The Blind Side.
Oh.
And she had all kinds of fucked up shit to say about what Jesse had told her. So one of her friends tells Radar Online, quote, "She told me that Jesse's marriage to Sandra Bullock was for publicity. And that's why he did Donald Trump's show, Celebrity Apprentice. He never called on Sandra for money or influence because their marriage was a sham." Like, what is in it for her in that? Like, that is, again, I think this guy is an unreliable narrator and a dumb fuck. So,
I mean, you're cheating on your wife, who is Sandra Bullock. So you just tell whatever you need to tell your mistress to make you feel better about what you're doing.
I guess.
Bobby Brown.
Yeah, I guess.
You're gonna fuck around. It's Whitney Houston, bitch. What's wrong with
Yep.
I don't understand it.
So, as the magazine, of course, had contacted Sandy's people to get comment. Right.
Yeah.
So she had moved out a couple days before this got published. The day it published,
but she didn't know about any of this until they called for comment.
I mean, she was.
That is an awkward turtle phone call.
I'm sure it went to her publicist, who then made some phone calls. Ugh. Okay. So
bad
she,
day to be a publicist.
Yeah, well, she's supposed to be traveling the world to go to premieres of The Blind Side to promote her fucking movie, right? And this thing hits This is a bomb that is dropped into her life, as you can imagine. So
that is not right.
She cancels her European trip. So the London and Berlin premieres, I think the Berlin, like the premiere party thing, they just canceled. But like, anyway. Jesse releases a statement the next day apologizing to Sandy and his kids for being a complete asshat. Quote, "This has caused my wife and kids pain and embarrassment beyond comprehension, and I am extremely saddened to have brought this on them. I am truly very sorry for the grief I have caused them. I hope one day they can find it in their hearts to forgive me." Over the next several weeks, more and more women come forward to report their affairs with Jesse during his marriage.
No.
One of them has 195 text messages to prove it.
Nope.
Jesse sees the writing on the wall and checks himself into a rehab center in Arizona for a little me time on March 26th. On March 31st, Us Weekly publishes a photo of Jesse wearing an SS officer's hat doing a Nazi salute under the headline, "Jesse James posed as Adolf Hitler while dating Sandra Bullock."
Oh my God.
That's the headline you want.
It just gets worse.
Yeah, there was some helpful context as well. Quote, "The photo comes out days after TMZ unearthed a shot of James's alleged mistress, tattoo model Michelle McGee, wearing a swastika armband at a photo shoot."
No.
So these are good people. They're not. His friends were like, "Come on, Jesse's just a history buff."
Jesus Christ.
Which does no favors to history buffs who are not exclusively interested in the Third Reich. His dad, which he says he hadn't spoken to his dad in like 25 years. His dad pops up, piles on with a video he posts online saying that his son was obsessed with Nazis as a kid.
Oh no! Thanks, Dad.
So Jessica Cohen at Jezebel, and again, we'll have all the links to everything on the website. Jessica Cohen at Jezebel followed up with just a perfectly written response in a piece called "We Got What We Needed from Jesse and Sandra." So she says, quote, "But we suspected all of this, didn't we? We were teased with the maybes and the insinuations and suggestions, though nothing was deemed an actual fact. So our attention was held by the possibility that things were just getting worse. It seemed inevitable that they would. James didn't even bother issuing any real denials as reports of sexual harassment came out. And now we're up to mistress number 5 or something. In the tabloid justice system, we instinctively believe stars are probably guilty until proven innocent. And how can you provide proof that James wasn't bad news? You can't. But you certainly can provide visual proof that he was a total asshat."
Oh my God.
So, on April 23, 2010, Sandra Bullock filed for divorce in Austin, Texas. Later in the year,
Praise the Lord.
she completed the adoption of her then 3.5-month-old son, Louis, a process that she and Jesse had begun several years earlier. And I think the baby had moved in with them in January. Jesse still brings this up as the worst part of the end of this marriage.
Whatever, dude. You're a Nazi. You've got bigger problems.
I mean, allegedly. Okay, so he's got this thing. I saw this interview with him, and he's like, you know, under Hollywood law, it meant that I couldn't have a relationship with this child I love because I'm a cheating cheater. But like any divorce attorney in the United States would have made a credible claim for visitation with this child if Jesse James had wanted that. Right? Like this guy is
adding
just
Hollywood law to our trashy divorces bingo selections, because that's pretty Hollywood law. What the fuck is Hollywood
under
law?
Hollywood law.
Under Hollywood law.
There are no custody rules. That's bullshit,
What
you
an
idiot.
Asshat.
Okay, so woe is him. Woe is him. So, okay, look, he's just the cheater's gonna cheat. It's who he is. Sandra Bullock got free and clear. The divorce went through fine. Jesse goes on to date Kat Von D of LA Inc., the reality TV show, to whom he became engaged.
Yay.
Was dumped by.
Oh.
Began dating again.
Ah.
Became engaged again.
Yay.
And then was dumped by again.
Oh.
Because, as Kat said, hold back your surprise. He's a cheating cheater who cheated on her a bunch. But don't worry about old Jesse. In 2013, he...
Trust me, you didn't need to worry about that at all.
Not
I
gonna worry.
wasn't.
Okay. In 2013, he married Alexis DeJoria, perhaps is how that's pronounced. This woman is described as a drag racer because that is also a profession, I guess. And she is also the daughter of the billionaire behind the Paul Mitchell hair care products and Patron tequila.
You're joking.
I'm not. So I
That
think
is a spider fucking web
I
right
think
there.
old Jesse is gonna be just fine. That guy just
Being
always
the Paul Mitchell
ends up.
heir. God bless America. Hollywood law.
Oh yeah. Later that year, he rolled out his branded line of AR-15 rifles. Good
Nuh-uh.
Citizen. Oh yeah, Good Citizen
No.
Jesse James. And lately, he's been shopping a reboot of Monster Garage to networks that are not Discovery because he hates them. So, dude with problems. But money ain't one, to be clear, because his wife is loaded. He seems to like women with a lot of money. Just saying. Sandra Bullock is doing great. Thanks for asking. She has
My
since...
mouth is still on the fucking table from that trash bag.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. How's Sandra Bullock doing?
She is...
We are here for the convening of the Sandra Bullock fan club.
I am so glad that you asked. She is doing great. She has since picked up another Academy Award for 2013's Gravity, which grossed $716 million.
That is a lot of smackaroos.
I think that's her second highest grossing. I want to say
Wow.
she voiced someone in the Minions, and that's actually the highest grossing movie she's ever made. Anyway, Wikipedia is full of fun factoids.
Mind blown.
Not all of which I include. Okay, so yeah, Academy Award for Gravity. And she, of course, ruined my Christmas last year with the extremely upsetting Netflix original Bird Box. Totally creeped me out. Did not feel right for days after that movie.
No, it was going to creep me out, which is why I didn't watch it with you.
I know, you told me to watch Dumplin', and I was like, no, I'm going to check out
Dumplin'
Sandra
will warm your
Bullock.
fucking heart.
Dumplin' was great, and you were right, and I was wrong.
The Unicorn Store. I find the happy feel-good shit. I don't go to the dark side. The blind side, sure. The hippy-dippy unicorn side all damn day. But the dark side, Bird Box, looked terrifying.
It was. It was really upsetting. Sandra Bullock also spearheaded what I thought was a very stylish and clever Oceans reboot with Oceans 8 last year.
Oh, she's so good.
In 2015, she adopted a daughter, Layla. She's been in
nice.
what her friends describe as an extremely happy relationship with photographer Brian Randall for about the last 4 years.
Oh, good for her.
And apparently they don't have any particular plans to get married. But
I can imagine not rushing in.
yeah, right. But she says that the kids like him better. So that sounds...
Nice photographer, dude. Nazi who sells AR-15s.
I mean, allegedly. I don't think there's any proof. He says he's not, if that helps.
Unreliable narrator. That was amazing.
I mean, I had
That's
no
a
idea.
trashy
Like,
divorce.
I
I
knew,
had no idea.
Yeah, I knew she'd had a thing, but I didn't. God, he's gross.
Wow.
I mean, I'm guessing that the guy, the self-made Greek billionaire behind Patron, is not one to be trifled with. So don't fuck around on his daughter, dude.
I don't know. If you've got that level of money, though, it is going to have a harder time getting out. Like that, it's probably pretty undercover. I don't know. A leopard doesn't change its spots.
I sort of, when I saw that he had married someone whose occupation is described as drag racing, I knew that there was more to the story. And the fact that she's the daughter of a billionaire makes perfect sense.
It is amazing what we uncover in trashy divorces. How many trash cans do you give them?
Oh my God. Well, he's going to get 5 for the number of women who came forward.
And then do we take the trash cans into the desert and blow them up?
That's a really good, yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we'll gun them down with AR-15, with Jesse James branded AR-15s. This guy is, no, but one of the mistresses, I guess, like gave TMZ a letter that she faxed to Sandra Bullock's publicist apologizing for the affair she had with Jesse James.
Really?
Well, but you don't give that to the press. I mean, that's just a plea for attention, right? Like that's...
Yeah, no, it's something to write a letter of apology to the wronged wife.
Agree, but you don't give it to TMZ.
What kind of sex appeal does that guy have? I look at him, I don't see it, but
I think that he's got a type of masculinity that I think a lot of women find appealing.
we are not those
No.
women.
No. Anyway,
Great
man,
story.
Poor Sandy Bullock. We love you. We're so sad that happened.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
Kick ass.
We see all your movies.
You rock.
I don't know what you would have to do to make us stop watching your movies. It's hard to imagine.
Well, let's 3 cheers for Sandra Bullock. Let's call a Sandra Bullock fan club to a close. Thanks, everybody.
I need a gavel.
I know, right? Boom, boom. We can't bang on the pod.
No, we've
Audio
done that
quality.
before. Yep.
Yeah, we've learned that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another week of Trashy Divorces. Don't forget, next week is our, holy cat, Stacie, can you believe it? Season 3 finale.
Oh, wow.
It's that quick.
Where do the seasons go?
The same place where Broken Hearts go? No, I don't know. So yeah, next week, our big season 3 finale. We will catch you back on the flip side with more Trashy Divorces.
In the meantime,
Keep it trashy.
keep it trashy.
But not as trashy as fucking Jesse James,
Oh, no
man.
kidding. Ugh.
God.
Also, apparently, he's not related to Jesse James, even though he says he is. There's a society devoted to the descendants of the outlaw Jesse James, and dude's family is not part of it.
After this episode, I don't know what I do first, shower or cry. It's
Unreliable narrator.
going to be both.
I love fiction featuring unreliable narrators. I'm less cool with fact featuring unreliable narrators. It's watching him talk is weird.
That's all we got.
Yep. Bye,
trashy.
everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Trashy Divorces is written and produced by us, Stacie and Alicia, for Hemlock Creatives. You can contact us at trashydivorces@gmail.com. Our art is by Sydney V. Smith, and you can find more from her at sydneyvsmith@carbonmade.com. And our music is used with permission of Ratsy. You can find out more about Ratsy at Ratsy's store on Instagram.
Want to check out our sources, soundtracks, or other notable episode information? Visit trashydivorces.com. On the web, you can enjoy early ad-free releases, regular bonus stories, follow-ups, and more by joining us at patreon.com/trashydivorces.
We have merchandise available online too. Get your Trashy Divorces gear at bit.ly/trashymerch. And thanks to What a Maneuver for doing such a great job with our cloths.
Hey, we appreciate all of your ratings and reviews. If you do leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, send us a little picture of it. Let us know and we'll ship you some Trashy Divorces stickers and such. Anywhere in the world, we got you. Because holy cats, y'all, we're now in 125 countries.
125 countries and counting.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. Thanks for being awesome. You can send those emails for your free sticker swag to trashydivorces@gmail.com.
And last but not least, check us out on social. We're at Trashy Divorces at Instagram, which Alicia mostly runs, Twitter, which I, Stacie, mostly run, and on Facebook, which we pretty much split. We also have a Trashy Divorces discussion group on Facebook if you want to chat with other Trashy Divorces listeners.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening.
Keep it trashy.